welcome to the book launch here at the Rajnigandha Silver Pearls Front Lawn afternoon event. This book is titled You Can Be Smarter and Wiser by Meera Shenoy. I'll just tell you a little bit about the book and its author. You Can Be Smarter and Wiser is about the following. Management gurus tell us there are lessons to learn from inspirational lives, and that we do not have to wait a lifetime to integrate these lessons into our lives. The real-life stories profiled in this book cover entrepreneurs ranging from some in wheelchairs to blind persons who have built their businesses with zest and energy. It looks at CEOs who hire youth with disabilities and make products for this market because it makes business sense. And it celebrates those who have converted their disability into an opportunity to touch and transform other vulnerable lives. Meera Shenoy is a pioneer in skilling unprivileged youth, and she has worked in senior positions in the government, private sector, and in organizations such as the World Bank and the UNDP. Meera is the founder and chairperson of Youth for Jobs. So we will be launching her book today. The book will be released by Namita Gokhale and by Anurima Roy from Bloomsbury. But first of all, we're going to do a discussion between Meera Shenoy and a special guest, Nipun Malhotra. Please give them a warm round of applause.
So congratulations on the launch of this book, ma'am. It's a wonderful book.
And,
but what really, how did you really come up with the idea of this book, or what made you?
Actually, Nipun, 3 years back, I set up Youth for Jobs, which works on training youth with disabilities for jobs. In the process of training, we really worked hard to bring out the potential of these youth. I heard their stories every day in the classrooms as I traveled in Ranchi, in Mumbai, in Chennai, and I saw that they battled so many odds to be economically independent. I thought to myself that surely there must be some entrepreneurs also with disability. And thus when I traveled, I began doing research, and I discovered these amazing people whom I wrote about. For example, a young, irreverent, blind filmmaker, Anand Kulkarni, and his organization is called Flop Films. You would obviously want to know how he looks at, understands, and captures emotions. Then I met Sabrine, a woman who runs an institute for global change makers in Kerala. And yet, yes, she's blind. Then I met these wheelchair entrepreneurs like Arvind Verma, who's in Delhi, who actually turned around a 1 crore loss-making company into a 365 crores empire. And people like Nipun here, who spends 60% of his time growing the organization and 40% of his time in advocacy for people like him. We just had Karan. I met this hazel-eyed Divya Arora. She has cerebral palsy. But if all of you have seen this film, Guzarish, and wondered how Hrithik Roshan gave such a realistic performance in the film, it's because of Divya Arora. And to quote her, what she told me, she said, I made Hrithik understand helplessness, how to place his hands, since he cannot remove the fly sitting on his nose. I actually made him fall 25 times till he perfected the act. So these are the stories which I've narrated, Nipun, in the book.
Right. Now, you've covered a lot of inspiring stories of people with disabilities who've beaten the odds. But is there any common thread that links all of them?
I find 3 common threads running through the book. One is that all of them accept their condition. The other is that they face tremendous challenges all along, yet it doesn't prevent them from dreaming big and working hard to achieve these dreams. For example, talking of acceptance of conditions, Raghu Shenoy, who's a IT entrepreneur in Bangalore, told me He said, my IT colleagues sit on wooden chairs. I sit on a wheelchair. Now that's the only difference. The sun shines on us. The grass is green for all of us. And then he went on to tell me that his mother said, there's only one answer to the question, how are you? And that's fine, thank you. So yes, I sit on a wheelchair, but my shoes last much longer. So that's the positive spirit. Sabrina, in fact, thinks being blind makes her think differently and therefore give her a competitive advantage. I'll never forget what she narrated to me. She said she went to an Indian school for the blind and she asked the children, can you describe to me the beauty of blindness? She says there was stunned silence because no one had spoken about the beauty of blindness. And then to quote her, she says, finally one young boy piped up and he said, I can read under the blanket in the night without my mother knowing, and no one else can do it. So that's his competitive advantage. There's this other person, Sanjoy. Now he's a very well-known travel agent, now a friend, and he told me he has evolved skills which are normal for a blind person, but a surprise to us. It's a fact, he says, that I have enhanced memory retention and recall. I'm better with information. Phone numbers and addresses come very naturally to me. I recognize voices better than others. No wonder then that clients reach for him rather than his sighted colleagues. Some take their disability more philosophically, like this Amit Manga. He's young like Nipun. I think you know him, Nipun.
Yeah, very well, yeah.
Yeah. So he told me, he says, I realize what absolute happiness is and what relative happiness is. This has made me humble, compassionate, and most importantly, helped me to discover my ability in my disability. So as I said, there are lots and lots and lots of challenges which they faced in work and in personal life. For example, Arvind Verma, an accident, he fell as a schoolboy and he became a paraplegic when he was 14. He was working in PricewaterhouseCoopers, but he decided to leave his job. He says, I realized I must burn my boats with no safety net. His father told him that there was no cushion to fall back on and he should not try hard to turn this 1 crore loss-making industry. He had to struggle. The workers would not accept a youngster on a wheelchair, as you know. The union leaders used to defy him using crude language. The finances were a mess. Personally, he had to travel a lot. And once, actually, the airline put him on a Delhi flight instead of a Mumbai flight. Or a security guard told him to stand up when he is not able to do that for the security check. But however, how he turned around and made this, and how everything is happy now, you must read my book. I met Nipun in the atrium of the ISB, where he was attending, you remember, this course on family management. He told me, and maybe he could, say some of those things. He told me that at a pub, if he orders a drink, the bearer looks at his friend for approval because he can't believe that he can order his own drink. Or when he's interviewing staff, they don't actually look at him because they can't believe. He said it's out and out hilarious that they refuse to believe a wheelchair person can actually be in a position of influence. I'm going to ask him to narrate that. Would you narrate that incident where a vice president of a marketing company refused to cooperate? And what happened?
No, that was more at an industrial expo where I had to make a deal for bearings that we had to buy in bulk for a particular product, and it was an auto component expo, and I went to this particular bearing company that had a stall there, and I was really shocked to see how their attitude was, because they felt that I do not really have the power to buy bearings, so they completely ignored me while they looked at other aspiring buyers, and what they did not realize is that I lost out a big order because of the way they treated me at that particular point of time. So
and
that happens all the time.
And what happened? He lost the order.
He of course lost the order. It's also happened at interviews on the other side, where I'm on the interview panel and we are interviewing people. Even if I ask a question, the person on the other side, who's the interviewee and the applicant, he doesn't make eye contact with me because he thinks the wheelchair users doesn't have that power to.
Yeah. So this is the challenge, and yet despite the challenges, all of them dream big. Divya Arora, who runs the entertainment company, she told me now she's written a film script called Pyar Actually, which is with Nagesh Kukunur. She says it's a commercial feature film, completely written, acted, and she hopes to direct it also. Her fingers are deformed actually, so the typing took her 2 long years. But she says it's not impossible, you see. Then I met this weedy, short Ajith Babu, who's a serial entrepreneur with cerebral palsy. And he said something remarkable to me. He said, all my life, I've rebelled against security. It's too boring. A 2-wheeler, then 2 more wheels in a swift car, then a wife, then a children, then a house. Can you live life like that? I don't mind taking risks because I want to achieve something bigger. And he adds, I'm ambitious. I'm thinking of Tesla. If every startup can solve one problem in the world, we can all leave behind a better place. I always seem to end up with Sabrine because she really has such global ambitions. Her words still ring in my ear. When I saw her, she had just come back from a swim in the lake, and she swims well, she rides on horseback, and this is what she told me. She said, I'm not interested in candles that flicker. I'm not interested in candles that flicker. We want to build fires, fires that burn for a long time. That will usher global change. So it's amazing the kind of dreams they all have, and they work persistently towards the dreams.
But there are many inspiring books on disability that come out on beating the odds, but this one is clearly different. How would you like to tell the audience on how it's relevant to each one of us sitting here?
While the stories of disability, the book is meant for all of us, because in all of us there lies infinite potential, but most of us don't bother to ignite it. Either we are lazy or we just feel it's not important enough. I think when we read these stories in this book, every one of us feels inspired and says, oh, we are so fortunate. If they can do it, so we can. And that's why it's called, that section is called, I Can, So Can You.
You originally were going to only cover disabled entrepreneurs, but you then decided to have a second section of the book too.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about the second section and why it came up?
The first section of the book profiles entrepreneurs. The second section is wise leaders show the way. So it speaks about leaders like Pattu Keswani, who's the chairman of the Lemon Tree Hotel, who's building the world's most silent hotel, completely manned by the deaf. He says, we never ask, is it possible? Lage raho is our motto, and that's how we succeed. There's Niren Chowdhury, who heads the global operations of KFC now. When he returned to India, he realized he had a wide canvas to paint on. But he was clear he wanted to combine business and ambition together, business and compassion together. So to quote Niren, he says, I thought my dream is if I cannot control what India is, surely I can control what Yum India is. So why don't we make our company the country we wish to see? We've also covered young entrepreneurs like Smriti. I don't know whether she's here. She works with deaf artists, and in the book I don't have photographs. Actually, deaf artists, with her help, did all the sketches of the book, and they've captured each personality so beautifully. Then there's this 26-year-old Kalyani Kona, who I don't know whether you know her. She's actually built a lovability app because she believes that no one should be condemned to a life of loneliness unless it's a choice. So we invite all of you readers to think for yourself when you read the stories. What are the opportunities you offer to others? How do you become a better leader and leave behind a better world?
On that note, I'd like to invite Festival Director Namita Gokhale to the stage to say a few words.
That was a most enlightening talk. It's a pleasure, it's an honor to be here for the launch of your thoughtful book, this very timely reminder. As we reflect upon disability, it's important to remember we are all disabled in different and particular ways. And the sum total of a society's success is indeed the orchestration of its hurts, its failings, its disabilities. I lost the use of my wrist 2 months ago, and I realized how important something as simple as a wrist is for everything. Today I've lost my voice, and we just remember everything, and people who carry on and succeed are to be deeply, deeply, deeply respected as they are inspirational. And also talking about persons with disability who've excelled as entrepreneurs, and your pragmatic roadmap in profiling CEOs who have integrated disabilities into the business is to be congratulated. And thank you, both of you, for being here with us at the Jaipur Literature Festival 2016. Thank you.
Yeah.
Open it.
Yeah.
I now invite Anurima Roy from Bloomsbury to come up on stage and for the book to be released.
Switch it on now. Why it is on?
Let's give them a round of applause. Congratulations to Meera, Shenoy. Thank you so much, Nipun Malhotra, Namita Gokhale, and Anurima Roy. Our next session here at the Rajnigandha Silver Pearls front lawn will commence in 10 minutes. That session is A Spy Among Friends, Philby and the Great Betrayal. That session is featuring Ben McIntyre, and he will be introduced by Raghu Karnad. The session is part of the Indian Quarterly Presents the Privacy series. That will be commencing in about 10 minutes.